The research vessel Han Ho rocked gently in the Pacific Ocean waves. Dr. Han Dadwai stood at the ship's main computer, frowning at the strange readings on his screen. For 3 days, their deep-sea sensors had picked up odd signals from the ocean floor, and he couldn't explain them. "Dr. Han, you should see this," called Dr. Kim Sun-mi from her workstation. Her long black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and her eyes were wide with excitement. The signal pattern changed again. "It's not random noise. It's too regular." Dae-wai walked over to her station, his coffee cup warming his hands against the cold ocean air. The morning sun sparkled on the water outside the window, but no one on the research team was looking at the view. All eyes were on the strange data flowing across their screens. "Look at this pattern." Sun-mi pointed to a repeating wave on her monitor. "It's like nothing I've ever seen before. It's not seismic, it's not marine life, and it's definitely not human-made." Dae-wei nodded slowly. After 20 years of ocean research, he knew when something was different. "How deep is the signal coming from?" "About 3,000 meters, Sun-mi answered, typing quickly on her keyboard. "Right at the edge of that underwater cliff we were planning to study." "Captain," Dadway called out to Captain Lee, who was checking weather reports nearby. "Can we send the ROV down to those coordinates?" The captain checked his instruments. "Waters are calm enough. We can do it now if you want." Dae-wai looked at his team. Young engineer Yoon was already preparing the remote-operated vehicle, his fingers flying over the control panel. The rest of the research team gathered around the main screen, ready to see what their underwater robot would find. The ROV descended slowly through the dark water. Its powerful lights cut through the blackness, revealing glimpses of deep-sea life. At 1,000 meters, they saw the usual fish and squid. At 2,000 meters, the water grew even darker. But at 3,000 meters, something reflected their lights that didn't belong there. "Stop," Dadwai ordered. "Hold position and pan the lights left." The ROV's cameras revealed a smooth metallic surface partly buried in the ocean floor. It was clearly artificial, with geometric patterns that no natural process could create. As they watched, a soft blue light pulsed along one of the visible edges. That's not one of ours, is it?" Yoon-hae asked quietly. The young engineer's hands trembled slightly on the ROV controls. "No," Sun-mi whispered. "It's not anyone's. At least, not anyone on Earth." The team worked quickly but carefully. They took samples of the water around the object. They recorded every reading their instruments could capture. The strange signal grew stronger as they worked, pulsing in patterns that seemed almost like language. "Dr. Han," Captain Lee called from behind them. "The military is on the line. They've detected our find on their deep-sea monitors. They're sending a ship to help us investigate." Dae-wai barely heard him. He was too focused on the screen, watching the blue light pulse. With each flash, he felt more certain that this would change everything. Humanity had just found proof they weren't alone, hidden deep under the Pacific Ocean. "Should we try to send a signal back?" Sun-mi asked, her voice eager but nervous. "No," Dae-wai said firmly. "We don't know what it is, or how old it might be. For now, we observe, we record, we learn." He turned to his team, seeing the mix of excitement and fear on their faces. "Whatever this is, it's been down there for who knows how long. We can take our time to do this right." As if responding to his words, the object's blue light pulsed brighter. New patterns appeared on its surface, spreading like ripples on a pond. Deep under the ocean, humanity's first contact had begun, not with a bang or a grand arrival, but with a quiet signal from the depths that would soon change their world forever. The military ship would arrive in 6 hours. Dae-wei knew that soon, this peaceful morning of discovery would become much more complicated. But for now, he and his team were the only humans who knew that everything was about to change. He took another sip of his coffee, now cold, and smiled. After all his years of research, he finally had proof of what he had always suspected. Humans weren't alone in the universe. They just hadn't been looking in the right place. 3 days after the discovery, Dr. Kim Sun-mai hadn't left the research lab except to sleep. The military had moved the entire research team to a secure facility on Jeju Island, where they worked around the clock to understand the alien device's signals. "Look at this part again," Sun-mai said, pointing to her screen. She had taken off her lab coat hours ago, and her coffee cup was long empty. Every 8 hours, the pattern changes slightly, but the base code remains the same. Dr. Han Dawai leaned over her shoulder, studying the flowing lines of data. The military commander, Park Jin, stood nearby, his arms crossed as he watched their work. "It's like..." Sun-mai paused, typing quickly. "It's like it's taking snapshots of Earth and sending them somewhere." "Sending them where?" Commander Park asked, stepping closer. "Based on the signal direction." Sun-mai checked her calculations. "Somewhere in the Orion constellation, about 400 light-years away." The room grew quiet. Everyone felt the weight of what that meant. Their mysterious device wasn't just recording, it was reporting to someone. "Wait," Sun-mai suddenly sat up straighter. I think I can read some of this." She typed faster, her program sorting through the patterns they'd recorded. On the big screen in front of them, symbols began to transform into words. "It's using mathematics as a base," she explained, her voice getting excited. "The aliens built a translation key right into the signal. They wanted anyone who found it to understand." The first translated message appeared on their screen. Observation Post 7249. Earth Monitor. Report Cycle 26,458. Subject: The Ascended Ones. Update: The Ascended Ones. Dawai read aloud. "Who are they talking about?" Sun-mi kept working, more text appearing. "The inhabitants continue to show signs of godlike mastery over matter and energy. They have created vast networks of light that connect their minds across great distances. They can summon food and water at will, control temperature in their dwellings, and travel faster than natural movement would allow." Are they talking about us?" Young engineer Yoon-hae asked, looking up from his own work. "About humans?" Sun-mi nodded slowly as more text appeared. "Most remarkable is their ability to capture and store memories in small rectangular devices, which they can access at any time. They have mastered instant communication across their world and can even project their thoughts and images onto screens that everyone can see." Commander Park started laughing. "They're talking about smartphones and television." "They think we're gods," Dawai said quietly. "They've been watching us develop technology, but they don't understand how it works. To them, it looks like magic." More messages kept coming as Sun-mi's program decoded them. "The Ascended Ones show no sign they are aware of our monitoring station. They possess the power to transmute raw materials into complex devices, yet they maintain the appearance of a developing civilization. Our leading theorists believe this may be a choice, perhaps a form of meditation or higher understanding we cannot grasp. They think we're pretending to be less advanced than we are," Sun-mi said, shaking her head in amazement. "Everything they've seen us do, they've completely misunderstood. Recommendation: initial contact should be attempted. The Ascended Ones have shown themselves to be peaceful, using their godlike powers mainly for comfort and knowledge. We believe they may be willing to share their wisdom with less advanced species." "There's more," Sun-mi said, her voice getting serious. "A lot more. They've been watching us for thousands of years, recording everything. And now..." She pointed to the last decoded message, which had just appeared. "Message received. Contact mission approved. Arrival estimated. 3 Earth rotations." The room erupted in activity. Commander Park was immediately on his phone, calling his superiors. Dawai and Sun-mi looked at each other, both understanding what this meant. 3 days, Dawai said quietly. "We have 3 days before they get here. And they think we're gods." Sun-mi looked back at her screen, where more data kept flowing. "What do we do when they arrive and find out we're just Normal humans. Day Y watched the alien symbols continue to stream across the screen. Normal. He smiled slightly. Look at everything they listed. We made all of that. Maybe we're not gods, but what humans have achieved, maybe that's even more impressive. Outside their window, the sun was rising over Jeju Island. Somewhere up there, visitors were coming. Visitors who had watched humanity grow from simple tools to smartphones and had seen magic in every step. In 3 days, they would all find out if being human was enough. The world held its breath as the alien ship entered Earth's orbit. It looked like a giant blue snowflake shimmering against the black of space. Dr. Han Dawai watched it on the large screen at the United Nations emergency meeting in New York, where he and Dr. Kim Sun-Mei had been quickly flown to help with first contact. The ship is bigger than we expected, Sun-Mei whispered to him, almost 2 kilometers wide. The room was full of world leaders, scientists, and military commanders from every major nation. They had spent the last 3 days preparing for this moment, but no one really knew what to expect. They're sending a message, announced the communications officer. On the big screen, symbols appeared, the same kind Sun-Mei had decoded from the underwater device. They're requesting permission to land. Sun-Mei translated quickly. They want to meet us in. They're suggesting South Korea, since that's where we found their monitoring station. The world leaders looked at each other. After a quick discussion, they agreed. The alien ship would land at a prepared site near Jeju Island. 3 hours later, Dawai stood with Sun-Mei and other officials at the landing site. The military had cleared a large area, and news cameras filmed from a safe distance. The blue snowflake ship now hung in the sky above them, glowing softly. A beam of light touched the ground, and 3 figures appeared. They were tall and slim, with skin that glowed like moonlight on water. Their bodies seemed to shimmer with soft blue light, making them look almost like living stars. The tallest alien stepped forward. Its voice came from somewhere inside its glowing body, speaking perfect Korean. We are honored to meet the Ascended Ones. I am called Ta Jin in your language. Dawai and Sun-Mei glanced at each other. The alien had chosen a Korean name for itself, trying to make them comfortable. But something was wrong. Ta Jin was looking around in confusion. We expected. Ta Jin paused. Where are your energy forms? Why do you remain in physical bodies? These are our normal bodies, Dawai said carefully. We are human beings, physical creatures. The aliens' lights flickered rapidly, perhaps their way of showing surprise. But your powers, the matter manipulation, the instant communication, the control over energy and light. Sun-Mei stepped forward. Would you like to see how those things work? She pulled out her smartphone. The aliens moved closer, their lights pulsing with interest. Sun-Mei opened a video call app and called Yoon-ha, who was back at the research center. Hello. Yoon-ha's face appeared on the screen. The aliens' lights flickered wildly. This is how we communicate instantly, Sun-Mei explained. It's technology we built, not magic or godlike powers. Built? Ta Jin seemed confused. With physical tools. But how did you achieve such wonders without ascending beyond physical form? Would you like us to show you? Dawai asked. We can explain how everything works. The aliens spoke to each other in flashing lights. Then Ta Jin turned back to them. You create such marvels while staying in physical form. This is incredible. Our scientists thought these achievements were only possible for energy beings. Humans are good at figuring things out, Dawai smiled. We solve problems. We build tools. We learn and improve. Then, Ta Jin's glow brightened. Then you are even more remarkable than we thought. We believed you were gods who chose to look simple, but you are physical beings who made yourselves godlike through what? Through science, Sun-Mei said. Through curiosity and hard work. Through not giving up when things seem impossible. The aliens' lights pulsed with excitement. Ta-Jin spoke again. We have so much to learn from you. Not about being gods, but about being better than gods. About making the impossible possible. As the sun set behind them, humans and aliens began to talk. Reporters filmed everything, sending the historic moment around the world on the same technology that had made aliens think humans were gods. And Dewey thought that maybe, just maybe, this misunderstanding would lead to something wonderful. After all, the aliens had come looking for gods but found something better. They found humans, with all their creativity, determination, and dreams of reaching for the stars. Dr. Lee Bora was having a strange day. As the lead cultural expert at the new Human Nixian Exchange Center in Seoul, she was used to explaining things to their alien visitors. But today was testing her patience. So this is not a matter transmutation device? Ta-Jin asked, his body glowing with confusion as he looked at the microwave in the center's break room. No, Bora explained patiently. It just heats food up using radiation, using waves of energy. She corrected herself, using simpler terms. But it changes the nature of matter. Another Nixian named Del said, his lights flickering excitedly. We watched through our monitoring station. Humans put in cold, solid items, and they come out hot and sometimes completely changed. Bora sighed. Would you like to see how it works? She took out a package of microwave popcorn. The aliens watched with intense interest as she put it in the microwave and pressed the buttons. When the popping started, their whole bodies lit up with amazement. The sounds of molecular transformation. Dal exclaimed. It's just heat making the kernels pop. Bora tried to explain. But the Nixians were already taking pictures with their light-based technology, probably sending them back to their scientists. Dr. Kim Sunmei walked into the break room, looking at her phone. The Nixians immediately turned to watch her with great interest. Ah, she uses her personal reality manipulator. Ta-Jin said respectfully. It's just a phone. Sunmei said, looking up. It's a computer that. Yes, a phone. Dal interrupted politely. We understand you use simple names for your godlike tools. It is very humble of you. Bora and Sunmei shared a look. For 2 weeks now, no matter how much they explained, the Nixians kept seeing magic in everything humans did. Oh, Ta-Jin suddenly brightened, literally glowing stronger. The memory capture ritual is beginning. He was pointing at a group of tourists outside the window, taking selfies with the Nixian ship in the background. That's just people taking pictures, Bora explained. It's not a ritual. But they perform it so regularly, always raising their devices to the sky, gathering in groups, changing their facial expressions. Dal insisted. Surely it must be an important spiritual practice. Just then, Dr. Han Daiwei walked in. He had learned to stay calm when the Nixians' lights went wild with excitement at everyday things. Dr. Lee, he said to Bora, they want to understand human entertainment. Could you show them some videos? 10 minutes later, they were all sitting in the center's meeting room. Bora played a popular Korean drama on the big screen. The Nixians watched with their lights dimmed respectfully. These are recordings of alternate realities. Ta-Jin asked quietly. No, these are actors. They're pretending. It's a story, Bora explained. Ah, Dal's lights pulsed with what they had learned was happiness. You create new realities for teaching purposes. Well, not exactly. Bora started, but then she paused. Maybe this was progress. At least they weren't calling it reality manipulation anymore. Later that evening, Bora wrote in her daily report, the Nixians continue to see the miraculous in the mundane. But maybe that's not so bad. They remind us how amazing our achievements really are, even if we're used to them. She looked out her office window. A group of Nixians was watching a street food vendor cook. Their lights were dancing with excitement as he flipped vegetables in his pan. To them, it was all magic. To her, after 2 weeks of explanations, their wonder was becoming something special. Maybe we forgot, she wrote in her report, That making popcorn, taking pictures, or telling stories are kind of magical, in their own way. Sometimes it takes an alien's eyes to see how far we've really come. Outside, the sun was setting, and the glowing forms of their alien visitors made the street look like it was full of stars. Somewhere in Seoul, another group of Nixians was probably watching humans do ordinary things and seeing wonders. And maybe, Bora thought, they weren't entirely wrong. Commander Park Hyun stood in the control room of South Korea's new Space Defense Center, staring at the large screen on the wall. The image showed a group of dark shapes moving toward Earth from beyond Mars' orbit. They weren't Nixian ships. These were different. How long until they reach us? He asked. 6 hours, Dr. Kim Sun-mai answered, typing quickly at her computer. The Nixian sensors picked them up first. They're called the Shadowers. Ta-jin floated nearby, his usual blue glow now dim with worry. They are not friendly. They believe that any civilization as powerful as yours must be stopped before it spreads across the galaxy. But we're not. Commander Park started to say that humans weren't as powerful as the Nixians thought, but he stopped himself. Maybe now wasn't the time to correct that mistake. Dr. Han Daewai rushed into the room. The Shadowers sent a message, he said, holding up a tablet. They're demanding we prove we're not gods by giving up all our technology. What happens if we don't? Park asked. They say they'll destroy our major cities. Sun-mai read from her screen. They think it's better to stop us now before we become a threat to the galaxy. Commander Park looked around the room at his team. Dr. Lee Bora was there too, talking quietly with a group of worried-looking Nixians. Can we fight them? Park asked Ta-jin. The aliens' lights flickered uncertainly. Their ships are very powerful, but surely with your godlike powers. Listen, Park said firmly. We need to tell you something important. We're not gods. We're just humans. Everything we do with technology we built ourselves. The room went quiet. The Nixians' lights pulsed slowly as they looked at each other. But, Ta-jin said slowly, but all the amazing things you do are things we made. Sun-mai finished, with science and hard work. Not magic, not godlike powers, just human determination and creativity. Instead of being disappointed, Ta-jin's glow suddenly brightened. You mean, you achieved all this while being physical beings, without any special powers? His light pulsed rapidly. That's even more impressive. Commander Park smiled, but quickly became serious again. Impressive or not, we have 6 hours to figure out how to stop an alien fleet. 5 hours and 48 minutes, Sun-mai corrected, still typing. But I might have an idea. Everyone gathered around her computer as she explained. The Shadowers think we're gods pretending to be simple. So let's use that. We'll show them our simple technology, but use it in ways they won't expect. How? Park asked. Sun-mai grinned. Remember how confused the Nixians were by our microwave? Our phones. Our regular technology looks like magic to them. The Shadowers probably think the same way. Understanding dawned on Commander Park's face, so we use normal technology. But we make it look like we're just playing with toys while hiding our real power. Daewai finished, getting excited. The more ordinary our defense looks, the more they'll think we're just pretending to be weak. Bora jumped in. They'll think we're showing off by beating them with simple tools. Commander Park turned to his team. Okay, people, we have less than 6 hours. I want every weird, unexpected way we can use our technology. Nothing too fancy. The simpler it looks, the better. As everyone rushed to work, Ta-jin floated near Park. You really aren't gods, he said quietly. No, Park agreed. We're just humans. Then the Shadowers should be very worried. Ta-jin's glow pulsed with what they now recognized as a smile. Because in just 3 weeks, I've learned that humans are far more dangerous than gods. Gods have limits to their power, but humans, Humans keep thinking up new ways to do impossible things. Outside the window, the sun was setting. Soon, the shadowers would arrive, expecting to find gods. Instead, they would find something much more interesting. Humans who had learned to make their own magic, one invention at a time. The shadowers' ships looked like dark clouds in the night sky over Seoul. There were 5 of them, each bigger than the biggest human aircraft carrier. Young engineer Yoon Ho watched them from the roof of the Space Defense Center, holding what looked like a regular TV remote control. "Are you sure this will work?" Commander Park asked, standing behind him. "Pretty sure," Hay answered, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "We tested it 20 times. Dr. Kim Sun-mi's voice came through their earpieces. "The first shadower ship is starting its attack run. They're charging weapons." The lead ship glowed with purple energy. Everyone on the roof could see it preparing to fire. "Now, ha!" Commander Park ordered. Hay pointed his modified remote control at the ship and pressed the big red button. Nothing seemed to happen for a moment. Then the purple glow on the shadower ship flickered and died. What did you do?" Ta Jin asked, his blue light pulsing with surprise. "We used the basic idea of a TV remote," Hay explained, grinning. "But we made it bigger, much bigger. It sends out the same kind of signal, just strong enough to mess up their energy weapons." Through their earpieces, they heard the Shadower's angry message. "You mock us by defeating our weapons with a child's toy. Show us your true power." Second ship moving in. Sun-mi reported. "They're trying something different." The second ship shot out what looked like black metal ropes, reaching for the city. But they were ready for this too. Dr. Han Dadwai stepped forward, holding what looked like a regular smartphone. "Everyone, cover your ears," he warned. Then he pressed play. A terrible sound burst from thousands of speakers they had set up around the city. It was a mix of nails on chalkboard, crying babies, and vuvuzelas from the 2010 World Cup. The black ropes suddenly twisted and curled up, retreating back to the ship. "Sound waves," Dadwai explained to the amazed Nixians. "The Shadower's metal responds to certain frequencies. We just had to find the most annoying sounds we could think of." The Shadowers were getting angry now. Their third ship fired some kind of energy beam at the city's power plants. But Dr. Lee Bora was ready. She had worked with the power company to set up something special. When the beam hit, all the city's lights went out for a second. Then they came back on, flashing in a pattern that spelled out a giant LOL visible from space. Did you just turn their attack into a light show?" Commander Park asked, trying not to laugh. "The beam was trying to overload our power grid," Bora explained. "So we used that extra energy to power the city's lights instead. The LOL was Yoon-ha's idea." The Shadowers were sending angry messages now. "Stop hiding behind these simple tricks. Show us your godlike weapons." The fourth ship tried to land troops in the city, but when their soldiers stepped out of their transport beams, they found themselves sliding around helplessly. The streets had been coated with a mix of banana peels and cooking oil from every restaurant in Seoul. "Sometimes the old tricks are the best tricks," he said proudly. The fifth and largest ship moved forward, charging up what looked like its main weapon. But before it could fire, something strange happened. Every screen in Seoul, every phone, every TV, every computer, started playing the same thing. A baby panda sneezing video. The Shadower ships actually backed up a little. "What kind of psychological warfare is this?" their message demanded. "Why do you attack us with images of infant Earth creatures?" "That wasn't us," Sun-mi said through the earpiece. I think the city's Wi-Fi networks got crossed with their targeting systems. They're being flooded with cat videos and memes." The Shadower ships hung in the air, seemingly confused. Then, slowly, they started to retreat. "This was a test," their final message said. "You prove your power by defeating us with children's toys and simple machines. Truly, you are beyond our understanding." As the ships disappeared into space, Jin turned to Commander Park. You really didn't use any advanced weapons? Nope, Park smiled. Just regular human technology, used in weird ways. Then my earlier observation was correct. Jin's glow pulsed brightly. Humans are much more interesting than gods. Gods can only do what they were made to do. But humans can turn TV remotes into weapons and cat videos into shields. The sun was rising over Seoul. The city had been saved not by godlike powers, but by human creativity and a good sense of humor. And somewhere up there, the Shadowers were probably still trying to figure out why that baby panda sneeze was so powerful. Choi Min was having a difficult day at the Human Nixian Cultural Center. As the head of public relations, it was his job to explain human entertainment to their alien visitors. But right now, he was struggling to convince a group of Nixians that Korean dramas weren't actually windows into alternate realities. But we have watched many of these dramas, said Dal, his light glowing a confused pink color. They show different versions of your world. In some, humans are doctors. In others, they are kings and queens of ancient times. Min rubbed his temples. Those are actors. They're pretending. It's just a story for entertainment. Pretending. Jin joined the conversation, his lights pulsing with interest. You mean, you can create entire new realities just by imagining them? Not real realities, Min tried to explain. They're just stories. Made up. For fun. The Nixians' lights flickered rapidly as they talked among themselves. Finally, Dal turned back to Min. This is even more impressive than parallel universes. You create whole new worlds using only your minds. Dr. Lee Bora walked into the room, carrying popcorn and drinks for their weekly cultural exchange movie night. The Nixians had become obsessed with human movies and TV shows, but they understood them in their own unique way. What are we watching today? She asked. They want to watch a historical drama, Min said, looking tired. But I'm not sure they understand. Oh, the ones about your past lives. Dal glowed brightly. When humans wore different clothes and fought with metal sticks. Those aren't our past lives, Bora said gently. They're historical stories about people who lived long ago. Yes, Jin nodded, his light pulsing in what they now recognized as their version of a smile. You say these things to stay humble, but we have studied your movies carefully. They must be memories of other times. Min started to argue, but Bora stopped him. She turned on the TV and started playing a popular historical drama. The Nixians dimmed their lights respectfully, which they did whenever they thought they were watching sacred human memory records. As the show played, more Nixians floated in to watch. They were fascinated by everything. The costumes, the palace settings, the sword fights. Their lights changed colors with every emotional scene. Look, Dal whispered excitedly during a romantic moment. The ancient energy transfer ritual. When humans touch their food intake openings together. It's called kissing, Min said weakly. And it's not an energy transfer. But the Nixians were already taking notes with their light-based technology. Min saw one of them label the notes. Human Courtship Energy Exchange Protocols. Historical records. Later that evening, after the Nixians had left, Min sat with Bora in the empty viewing room. I don't know if we'll ever convince them that movies aren't real, he said. Bora smiled. Maybe we don't need to. Think about it. They're amazed that we can create stories, act them out, film them, and share them with others. Isn't that actually more impressive than just recording real events? I suppose, Min agreed. But yesterday they watched a superhero movie, and now they think some humans can fly. Well, Bora laughed. After we beat the Shadowers with TV remotes and cat videos, can you blame them for believing humans can do anything? Just then, they got a message that made them both groan. The Nixians had discovered the internet and YouTube. They wanted to know why humans stored so many cat videos in their global consciousness archive. Tomorrow's going to be interesting, Min said, looking at the message. "Just wait until they find out about video games," Bora replied with a grin. Outside, the sun was setting over Seoul. Through the window, they could see Nixians floating down the street, their lights changing colors as they watched humans doing normal things. One group had stopped to watch a street performer doing magic tricks, their lights flashing with excitement at what they probably thought was actual reality manipulation. And somewhere in the city, another group of Nixians was probably writing a very confused report about how humans stored their memories in small flat rectangles called DVDs and could travel through time using a device called Netflix. Dr. Han Dawe was eating lunch when the emergency call came in. A Nixian colony ship had hit an asteroid field near Jupiter. Their engines were damaged, and the ship was falling into the giant planet's gravity. "How many Nixians are on board?" Commander Park asked as they rushed to the Space Defense Center. 200, Dr. Kim Sun-mai answered, reading from her tablet, "including many young ones." Ta Jin floated nearby, his usual blue glow now barely visible with worry. "Our rescue ships cannot reach them in time." Surely with your godlike powers." Daewei looked at the scared alien, then at his team. "We don't have godlike powers," he said firmly, "but we do have human determination, and that's better." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Yoon-ho worked with NASA engineers to modify their rockets for a rescue mission. Dr. Lee Bora coordinated with space agencies around the world. Even the Shadowers, still watching from far away, turned their sensors toward Jupiter to see what the gods would do. "The problem is time," Sun-mai explained, pointing to her calculations. "Regular rockets are too slow. Even our fastest ships would take days to reach them." "Then we don't use regular rockets," Ha said suddenly. He had been quiet for the last hour, drawing something on his tablet. "Look at this." His plan was crazy. They would use the moon's gravity like a slingshot, firing rockets around it to gain speed. Then they would use the Nixian ship's own damaged energy drives as a beacon, creating a path of bent space that would pull the rescue ships faster. "That's impossible," someone said. "Good," Daewei smiled. "That's exactly the kind of impossible humans are good at." They launched 3 ships. Each one carried rescue pods and was piloted by volunteers, astronauts from different countries who didn't hesitate when they heard about the mission. The whole world watched as the ship swung around the moon, gaining incredible speed. "It's working," Sun-mai shouted, watching the data. "They're going faster than any human ship has ever gone." But they hit a problem. The gravity path wasn't stable. The rescue ships were shaking badly. They needed something to stabilize them, but there was no time to design new equipment. That's when he had another idea. He ran to the storage room and came back with a box of old gaming controllers. "The ship's computers are like gaming systems," he explained quickly. "They just need better controls." The astronauts plugged in the controllers. Suddenly, they could manage their ships with the same skills they used for video games. The ship steadied, following the gravity path perfectly. "You're using game controllers?" Ta Jin asked, his glow flickering with confusion. "To save lives. Humans are good at using simple things in new ways," Bora explained. The rescue mission succeeded. All 200 Nixians were saved, brought back to Earth in ships controlled by gaming controllers, guided by gravity paths calculated on regular computers, flown by humans who simply refused to give up. Later, as the rescued Nixians were being cared for at the cultural center, Ta Jin approached Daewei. "We were wrong," the alien said softly. "We thought you were gods hiding your power, but now we see the truth. You are something much more interesting." "What's that?" Daewei asked. "You are beings who look at the impossible and say, 'Let's try anyway.' You take simple things, game controllers, gravity, math, and you make them do amazing things. Not because you have special powers, but because you never stop trying new ideas." Outside, the rescued Nixian children were playing with human children, their lights changing colors with joy. They were playing a simple game with a ball, but to the alien kids, it probably looked like advanced matter manipulation. Maybe that's humanity's real power, Dadwai said, watching them play. Not doing impossible things because we're special, but doing them because we don't know they're supposed to be impossible. The setting sun painted the sky orange, and in its light, humans and aliens looked the same, just beings trying to make the universe a little better, one impossible solution at a time. 6 months had passed since humans first met the Nixians. The morning sun shone on the new galactic embassy in Seoul, where Dr. Kim Sunmai was showing Ambassador Ta Jin something special. "This is where it all started," she said, pointing to the alien monitoring device they had found underwater. It now sat in a glass case in the embassy's main hall. "We were so wrong about humans," Ta Jin said, his light glowing softly. "We thought this device was watching gods. Instead, it was watching something much more interesting." "What's that?" Sunmai asked. "A species that built itself from nothing. No special powers. No godlike abilities. Just," his lights flickered, searching for the right words, "just pure human stubbornness." They walked through the embassy together. In one room, Dr. Lee Bora was teaching young Nixians about Earth's history. The alien children's lights changed color with excitement as she showed them how humans had gone from cave paintings to smartphones. In another room, Yoonhye was working with Nixian engineers. They were building something new together, a mix of human creativity and alien technology. On their table sat what looked like a regular coffee maker, but it could now make drinks that glowed like Nixian lights. "The Shadowers sent a new message," Ta Jin said as they walked. "They want to open trade relations." Sunmai laughed. "After we scared them away with cat videos. They say any species that can defeat them with such simple tools must have much to teach." Ta Jin's lights pulsed with amusement. "They're especially interested in why videos of small Earth animals are so powerful." They reached the embassy's garden, where Dr. Han Dawei was sitting with Commander Park. The two men were watching a group of human and Nixian children playing together. The human kids were teaching the Nixians how to fly paper airplanes, and the alien children thought it was the most amazing magic they had ever seen. "Look at that," Dawei said, pointing to a Nixian child making a paper airplane glow with happiness. 6 months ago, they thought we were gods. Now they're learning that folding paper can be just as wonderful as any advanced technology." "That's because you taught us something important," Ta Jin said, joining them. "Power isn't about having special abilities. It's about using what you have in clever ways." Sunmai sat down with them, smiling as she watched the children play. "You know, you Nixians gave us something too." "What's that?" Ta Jin asked. "You helped us see ourselves differently. Sometimes we forget how far we've come. How amazing it is that we learned to fly, to dive deep in the ocean, to talk to people on the other side of the world, and to defeat alien ships with TV remotes," Commander Park added with a grin. They all laughed, even Ta Jin, who had learned to make his lights sparkle in a way that matched human laughter. Just then, Choi Min ran out to the garden, looking excited. "The first human Nixian movie is finished," he announced. "They want us all to come watch it." They walked together to the embassy's theater. The movie was a simple story about the first meeting between humans and Nixians, but it was filmed in a way that both species could enjoy. The humans acted normally, while the Nixians added their light-based special effects. As they watched, Sunmai looked around the room. Humans and aliens sat together, sharing popcorn and glowing drinks. Some of the Nixians were still taking notes, probably still thinking they were watching some kind of magical performance, but it didn't matter anymore. "You know what the best part is?" she whispered to Ta Jin. "What?" "We didn't have to be gods to change the universe. We just had to be human." Ta Jin's glow pulsed warmly. That, he said, was the most godlike thing of all. Outside, the sun was setting on a changed world. In the distance, the giant Nixian ship glowed like a blue star, now a permanent part of Seoul's skyline. And somewhere in deep space, the old monitoring device's last message was still traveling. Found something better than gods. Found humans.